Well, I guess it came to this. A little bit of coercing, a little bit of prodding, a little bit of poking, and a little bit of ping pong in my own head. But welcome to the initial episode of Hey Blue, an all umpire podcast that we're going to have in conjunction with the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. This will be all about umpiring and amateur baseball, but more so, like I said, about umpiring. As most of you know, a few weeks back, I posted a rather, I guess, controversial video. Some people liked it, some people didn't. Most of the feedback was quite good. Apparently, I swore a little too much. Sorry, Ron. I'll try to keep that to a minimum from here on in, but I get a little amped up sometimes. But anyways, was poking around in my head about how to get more of this more use out of my platform, I guess, and more information out there. And then that rant I had last week about umpiring and the state of umpiring and amateur baseball and how it's all has to intertwine and has to try to work together. I got going in my head about how we could maybe use my platform, the 1420 Sports Bar podcast, for good instead of evil. Not that it's evil, but and instead of collecting problems, let's try to make things a little bit better. Collecting problems doesn't do anybody any good. And if we're just always looking for problems, negativity breeds more negativity. So I thought just last night I've been poking around on the weekend. I was poking around my head a little bit. And then this morning, I came up with the idea as I was getting ready to do some other things for the show about why not have a podcast, a weekly podcast, half an hour, 45 minutes a piece, where we discuss the fine art of umpiring, the goods, the bads, the uglies, some equipment reviews, some tips, some ruling things, some call-in features, some other things that we want to get to that can help out amateur umpires, not just in Southern Alberta, not just in Canada, but right across North America. I don't think it's the worst idea I've ever had. I mean, I don't know much about much, but there's one thing I know, and that's about podcasting and a little bit about umpiring. I know some of my fellow umpires might disagree with me on that one a little bit, but I do know just enough to be dangerous in the world of umpiring. And I think this is a platform that we could use to help out the game, and people can listen in as they drive home, driving to a game, in the dressing room, wherever it may be. During now, it's most of it's the off season for a lot of people. Some people don't get an off season. I know ours isn't done, but I know here in Southern Alberta we have what we're trying to do, and it's been quite successful thus far. There's guys learning a little bit here and there, picking up one thing a week is all we're trying to do. But we have the Southern Alberta Umpire Clinic, which we're still doing outside right now. We're getting fortunate here in Southern Alberta with the weather, but that's going to change for the worse soon, because it always does. But Todd Hubka and the Prairie Baseball Academy has given us permission throughout the winter months to use their facility, so we can see some pitches and use their pitching machine and everything else that we're going to utilize. We'll get into that at a later date. What I'd like to know, want to get across here on the first edition of Hey Blue, which I actually don't really like being called blue, because not very often we wear a blue jersey anymore, but everybody calls us blue. That isn't going to go away anytime soon. But what I want to get across here on a weekly show on Hey Blue is that there doesn't have to be the disdain and the nervousness and everything else that comes with being a amateur umpire, a young umpire, an old umpire, a seasoned vet, all kinds of umpires in the world of amateur baseball. It doesn't have to be a dog eat dog world out there. It can be a lot of fun. It can be it can be very rewarding. We have people in Southern Alberta who've traveled right across the country to Nova Scotia to do games that were part of national championships this year. That's just in Lethbridge. Obviously, there's games that can be done all across the country, in Canada, United States, at all levels. You can be a little league guy at one point, and then in a few short years, because of the way you can advance in the game if you're good, and if you do things properly, and you learn things the right way, and you get rid of some bad habits, and you get rid of some preconceived notion that being an umpire isn't a bad thing, and it can be a lot of fun, and it can keep people in the game for long after their playing days are done, because most guys, they don't get to play past the age of 18, and then very few get to play past the age of 24. Most try to become coaches, but we can try to get some of those guys into the world of umpiring, to become umpires and to graduate into that, and they can be part of the game for years and years to come. I mean, I'm almost pushing 50, and I'm still going out there 4 times a weekend, every weekend, and enjoying it immensely. So that's one thing we want to get out there is that it can be a rewarding thing. You can put a couple bucks in your pocket as well, and it can be a lot of fun. It can be frustrating, but that's one thing we're going to try to have here on Hey Blue is what the rewards that can be. I also would like to what I'm hoping to do in the very near future is get some umpires on the show from guys that I've made contact with in the last few years since I got back into it, and then guys that I've known for a long time who are still in it, and get their ins and outs and reasons why they're still part of the game, what got them into umpiring, what keeps them going, what some tips and advice that they might have to try to attract umpires into the game, and younger and older guys. I mean, at our clinic we have some older people, a few older than I am, which is hard to believe because, geez, man. But we have young and old. We have a kid who was 14 years old in our last one. I hope he keeps coming out because he didn't have any bad habits to break and everything else. So it was good to have him out there a few weeks ago. But that's one of the things that I want to have in the very near future is to get some umpires into it, into the show, into Hey Blue, and then they can promote the show as well and have maybe get their input and output. But keeping an umpire show down to a 30-45 minute podcast might be tough because everybody knows once some umpires get into a room together and start telling war stories, the conversation can get pretty long in the tooth. But that's the goal, is to have guys in here once a week. We'll just discuss things, what like the ins and outs, what they like, what they don't like, where they see umpiring going, how they've seen the game change on an umpire's perspective in the last 10, 20, 30 years for some guys, right? So that's one thing. I would also like to get some fellow umpires who are just new to the game and have them on the show and tell them what their, for lack of a better term, their fears might be, what they like about it, what got them into it, and what they hope to get out of umpiring on a yearly basis, and how they want to improve themselves, some questions that they might have, and how they can improve what they got going on. I've already got some plans for the very nearby future to have some coaches on the show that I've known for years and years, to have them on the show and to find out their story and what they like about umpires, not just in Southern Alberta, but throughout North America, because I got contacts here and there, and hear what they like and unfortunately what they dislike about umpires, and what their thoughts and plans, and not plans, I guess, what their thoughts and hopes are for umpiring and moving forward, because we all have to work together to make the great game of baseball work. And it's very important that we get out there and do it to keep our game growing in the positive direction and not bounce back into the negative things that have been bouncing up on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else for the last few years. So it's been quite the struggle. And then now with the COVID situation, it's not gone, but it's not a part of the whole world. We're not getting into that, obviously, but now that baseball is getting back to normal, we have to find a way to get umpires back in the game and find a way to keep them in the game. And working with coaches and working with managers is very important, and we're not working against each other, but to work with each other as well. We're going to have equipment reviews. We hope to get a sponsor to review and preview some of their equipment, some of their things coming up, and talk about the things that keep you safe and keep you looking good out in the field. Had a good question yesterday from a guy here in Lethbridge asking about umpire shoes, where to get some, how you can get some, what the best kind to get. So hopefully we're going to have some equipment reviews, what you should get, what you shouldn't get, things that you think you might need but don't need, the stuff that will help you throughout your summer months and help make your game time experience more enjoyable. Some things that you definitely need to have, some things you don't need to have, and then different costs and different prices that you can get. And we'll be sharing links on the podcast and the podcast sites and everything else, and the Facebook accounts and the like, to make sure the guys are getting their equipment at a proper places, and not spending a fortune to get themselves properly protected, but also to go out there and looking good. Because if you go out there and you look good, that's half the battle. You'll get people believing in your calls a little bit more if you're looking a little more professional, other than going out there with a backwards hat and a pair of sweatpants on, which we'll try to stay away from. I'd also like to, what we'll discuss is situations that come up at our umpire clinics that I'm sure come up on umpire clinics throughout North America on a daily, weekly basis. And we'll discuss situations that were brought up at our clinics and how to get guys in the proper positions where they can be to help each other out, because every game throughout North America has a situation that might be happening just in a neighboring town, city, state, province, whatever it may be. So we'll discuss those things that come up on a daily basis while we discuss this, and we hope we get a lot of feedback from people that will help other umpires and other associations and other clinics want to interact with each other, because there isn't a lot of these forums out there for umpires to get to interact with. We're going to have some we're going to, I'm not going to say gonna, I'm still a grown up. We're going to have some live shows we hope to have on YouTube where people can chime in and ask questions. We'll have a 3 or 4 umpire panel where we discuss the fine art of umpiring, where we can have people get instant feedback, and they're not searching for a podcast or searching through Twitter. We'll post everything or Facebook or wherever else. They'll have instant feedback. They can join in on live conversations, and they can get different views and insights and rule interpretations, because that's very important. There's a lot of things that can happen on a ball field. You can see, because there's 3 sides or more to every story, right? His side, that side, and then the one that's actually right. So we're going to get other people involved in hopefully a monthly basis where we do a YouTube live or a Facebook live or whatever it may be for the Hey Blue podcast. I'm not even sure if that's even copyrighted yet. I got to do a little research. So the name may change before we get to the first episode. I guess it'll be the second episode. This being the first one of Hey Blue. We'll get all our T's crossed and I's dotted prior to that. But most of all, this show will be about helping out fellow umpires and keeping young and old umpires in the game and having some fun out there, and make sure that the game is still fun for umpires young and old, because it's a slug out there. I had some nice conversations with some people in Medicine Hat last week between games, and then after some games I went and was doing some mentoring on the field there, and I was talking to some parents that they were very appreciative of people trying to grow the game a little bit, and they said it's a thankless job, which it is. And I said, well, you shouldn't be yelling at umpires then. That doesn't keep people in the game. They had a chuckle, and they promised me they wouldn't do it anymore. So anyways, I hope parents watch the show or listen to the show. I hope coaches and players and umpires, everybody else listens to Hey Blue, because I think we're going to come up with something pretty good here for all levels of amateur baseball. It'll still be under the 1420 brand. It's a lot of work on our end to move things around and out with our podcast providers and our podcast hosts. So just Hey Blue, you might actually like our show as well too. So don't be afraid to tune into the 1420 podcast. It's going to be in the same thing for now. See where this thing goes, but I think it's going to be quite successful. I think there is a platform for it. I think there is a need for it for umpires to be able to get an umpire's point of view, because there's all kinds of videos for hitters and throwers and catchers and everything else. But I think this will help out umpires right across North America. I think it'll help parents out right across North America. It might only start here in Southern Alberta, but the more we share and like and retweet and talk about the show, and we can get our voice out there, we can help out the fine art of umpiring a lot. So I hope that you guys enjoy what we hope you enjoy what we plan on getting out there. I hope you listen, give it a few chances. There will be some glitches here and there about how we're going to get our platform out there and how we're going to do it. But I just thought I would get it out there, let umpires right across North America know that you're not forgotten. You're an important entity in the game, and that we are going to like I said, we're not going to collect any more problems. We know what the problems are. Let's try to fix the problems that we do have in amateur baseball, and the rift that there is between coaches and umpires and players, and we've got to become one unit, because I think that's very important for the sport to. Well, I know it's not a question of if and how. It's about like when we can do this, because it's a I don't want to say it's an epidemic or anything else, because that we don't want to use those endemic words, because that can cause a whole nother set of problems. But it's something that I'm very passionate about. I've always I got into umpiring a long time ago, back on 22nd Street in Fort Macleod. My parents' house is still to this day right across the Little League Park, so I used to do it for basically a bag of chips and a hot dog or something. And I've done some Little League national tournaments when I was younger. I went to umpire school. It took a long time off of it. It's something I've always been passionate about. like I said before, I want to thank Mitch Ball, the late great Mitch Ball, for getting me back into this. It was a chance meeting in 2018. I got back into 2019, and I haven't really skipped a beat. So it's been a lot of fun. Like I said, it's something I'm very passionate about. It's something I enjoy. I love being around the ball field. I love being out on the field. And since I wasn't a very good player, I found a way to keep myself involved in the great game of baseball. And we need to keep people, young and old, involved in umpiring, and get people better, because we all make mistakes. No matter, like, I make mistakes, my partners make mistakes, guys in the major league make mistakes. But if we can get a platform out there and get a resource like I hope Hey Blue is going to be, I hope Hey Blue is going to be a great resource for umpires, whether it be for equipment, rules, interpretation, situations, some humor behind the game. I hope we can get that out there with Hey Blue and upcoming episodes. Like I said, we'll keep it down to 30 minutes to 45 minutes a week. We'll get those out there. I don't know what day of the week we'll get them out there, but it'll be good listening entertainment for you while you're going to the game, while you're getting your shoes ready, while you're getting your uniform ready, while you're doing whatever you're doing to make your umpiring, your game day experience a little bit better, whether it be this season with whatever's left of it, or if you're going through all winter long, if you're down in the South, or if you're just going through clinics all winter long, and get you ready for next season and beyond. Because I think we as umpires need to mentor the younger and the older and the less experienced and the more experienced a little bit too. Sometimes the old guys, they think they're they can't be beaten. They have all the problems in the world solved in their head before the game even starts. We're all of us can learn something every day on the basis. We all make mistakes behind the plate. We all have different ways of looking at things. But I think Hey Blue is a good way for us here in Southern Alberta, and then right to spread the word, and right across Canada. Like I said, I'll get some umpires that I know through Baseball Canada, and guys who are high up in the ranks, and maybe some guys, like I said, lower in the ranks, and we can discuss the fine art of umpiring and grow it a little bit like it should be, and we can all become better umpires for it. And I hope we can do this in a quick basis. So make sure you subscribe to our show. It's going to be Hey Blue. It's once a week. It'll be on like I said, the 1420 brand for now. Later on, we'll see how it goes. We'll be looking for some sponsors, like from equipment things and everything else, to try and help everybody out, and we'll get this going. I think it's a great idea. Let me know your thoughts quickly. I'll get this out as quick as I can here. You guys don't even know what time I'm doing it, so you know why I said that. But we'll get Hey Blue out there. If you have any ideas for the show, what you guys think that this show could become, what you think the show might need, be greatly appreciated. Any thoughts? As things that been in my crazy coconut for quite some time. But so let's get Hey Blue out there. Let's let people know that there is a podcast out there for umpires, by umpires, and everything else, so we can get this thing rolling, and let's get it moving in the right direction, and we can be all one big happy family out in the baseball field. And to end today's show, just remember, it's Hey Blue on the 1420 podcast, an umpire show about umpires, for umpires, by an umpire. And remember, everybody, smart people bunt.